Hello and good morning. I'm Julian Lewis, coming up on New Central today. We go to Southsea to find out more about the farmers market that brings fresh local produce to Hampshire. We take a look at the new designs for North Hampshire Hospital in Basingstoke and gather some views on the potential new build. Winchester Cathedral takes us through their Christmas market. And there are new housing schemes ready to be opened by the Winchester City Council. The Happy Hedgehog Rescue is a charity based in Yateley that has rescued a young hoglet called Thor. The poorly hedgehog was found at the world-famous Shepperton Studios, where films such as Harry Potter, Alien and many more have been created. The hedgehog was found with a broken ankle and lungworm, which required immediate attention. Jane Morgan holds over 100 hedgehogs and cares for them daily. We spoke to her to find out more.
Jane Morgan has been running the Happy Hedgehog Rescue for over 5 years now. The small, self-funded organisation aims to treat sick, injured or orphaned hedgehogs before releasing them back into the wild, hoping to increase their dwindling numbers.
Since the 1950s, there was an estimated over 30 million hedgehogs in the UK, and now figures are estimated at under 1 million. They're an A species, they're an indicator species, so we really should listen to this. It's just like the bees, if we lose them, they will have an impact. They are an important part of an ecology. When they initially come in, we isolate them, we assess them, we medicate them. Some of them will have to go off to the vets. Unfortunately, there's a high percentage where human intervention has caused their illness or their demise. They struggle for food. Loss of habitat is huge. Stopping access for hedgehogs, therefore denying them food source in the garden. And they're insectivores. They love eating beetles and caterpillars. That's over half their food. They need to access at least 10 good-sized gardens to get the food that they need on a daily basis.
One of the Happy Hedgehog's latest rescues was at the Shepperton Studios in London, where the whole studio team got involved to save their injured friend, which they later named Thor.
It was really, really special because he was found on one of the stages by the tea area. You can imagine the paint shop is 20 to 25 hurly-burly guys, and there they are all really trying to help this little hedgehog. Then they wrapped him up in a towel, they brought him in. He will have to go in for surgery he's got a broken ankle. We're sorting out his internal problems at the moment, and then he'll go and visit our vet Jill, and she will sort his leg out for us. And they just did all the right things, and I think it's a really shining example of what people can do. If every one person did something, we took all together as a team, we could help our hedgehogs and we can save them, reverse the trends.
This is Pauline Donay for News Central.
Winchester has a higher than average population in Hampshire, allowing granted approval for 2 new housing schemes, these of which will provide 79 new homes in Winchester. The Chesil Street scheme will see a state-of-the-art facility with modern flats and will provide support for elderly residents, while the Victoria House scheme will see 18 rented homes and 9 being shared ownership, all with allocated parking space. Award-winning local architects PLB have designed the apartments to the highest standards. Caroline Horrell speaks to us about these new schemes.
Councillor Caroline Horrell for Crawley is responsible for the housing portfolio for the Winchester City Council. She has stated that there are only 5,000 council houses and over 2,000 people on the waiting list. We spoke to her to find out more details.
The ageing population, we need more houses for the elderly, which is what Chesil Street is all about. It's called an extra care scheme, and these are apartments, flats that will be built especially for the elderly, so they have wider corridors in case people have wheelchairs. It has facilities to allow carers to come and look after people, and it has a range of facilities so that when people's health changes over that time, from needing sort of a minimum level of care through to more, they'll be able to stay in those flats and actually have that care. It's a very expensive scheme, but we've been supported by Hampshire County Council, who gave us a grant, and we had a bequest from a gentleman who died in the city many years ago, and he wanted the money to go to a capital project for the residents of Winchester, so we've been able to put that in. The houses will all have their own parking, which is excellent, because there's not much parking in that part of the town, so everyone will have a car parking space, which would be really useful. So yes, 79 in total. All goes towards having more for all those in need. And particularly for the elderly, when they come into the extra care scheme, they will vacate properties in other parts of our district that will then be able to recycle to others, particularly families if they're in a larger property who are in need.
So this ambitious project is hopefully going to relieve the housing strain in Winchester for locals. This has been Josh Bean for News Central.
The Hampshire Farmers Market brings beautiful fresh produce to the people of Hampshire every month. The organisation is one of the largest in the UK and aims to bring the best quality in-season local produce to the people of Hampshire. The organisation comes to Palmerston Road on the third Sunday of every month.
It got started about 14 years ago when a lot of primary producers were struggling to sell their produce, and so they set up a collective, effectively Hampshire Farmers Markets, to produce an outlet for local producers to sell their fresh produce. But mainly what it's doing, it's supporting local producers, local farmers, and bringing them to local people around the county. Hampshire Farmers Markets run between 1 and 2 markets every weekend. Southsea this market runs the third Sunday once a month, third Sunday of each month. As producers, we have probably about 100 producers at this market today. We've got 28. Because we're slightly out of season, we have a lot of seasonal growers, so we can grow up to probably near 40 odd producers here at this market. Southsea is really quite interesting. Something like 90% of people that come and shop here are from within 1 mile. Winchester, for instance, 50% are from within 50 miles. So this is very much a very locally attended market. Footfall here today will be in the region of about 5,000, I would have thought. And certainly compared to a normal Sunday, footfall is probably double what you'd normally see down this high street.
The really nice thing about the farmers markets is that not only do you get to taste most things from most of the stalls that are around, but you actually get to speak to the people who make the product as well. I can't lay claim to that. My wife makes all the cheese, but I do know exactly how it goes, how it's made, and actually what goes into it as well.
Basingstoke Hospital have said on estimate they are only able to treat 35% of their cancer patients, whilst other patients are sent to hospitals in the areas of Winchester, Southampton, Eastleigh and Newbury. Due to the high demand of treatment, there has been pressure to open a new facility for cancer patients in the Basingstoke area. This ideal placement will have 2 main facilities, for the major accident patients and cancer patients. It also is looking to include a helicopter facility. Mark Jones tells us more.
Mark Jones, Director of Fundraising and Communications for ARC Cancer Charity, talked to us about the proposed hospital.
Both of the hospital and the Cancer Treatment Centre will serve patients in the Hampshire Hospitals NHS Trust area, and that stretches from Newbury down to Eastleigh, out to Romsey Stockbridge and over to the Hart area, Hartley, Witney, Odium. Obviously major population centres like Andover, Winchester and Basingstoke are all in the middle of that. Why do we want to build it? Well, essentially, we are looking at relocating 15% of our work from Basingstoke and Winchester into this particular hospital. For the cancer centre, it's the same theory. What we want is a centre that can serve the whole of the population. And so what we're looking at doing is providing a place where people can have easy accessibility, can park, and can also be treated in a really nice environment. The cost of the critical treatment hospital at the moment is estimated at £150 million. For the cancer centre, it's estimated at £18.5 million.
Julian Jones, Chair of Dummer Parish Council, spoke to us about some of the potential issues created by the proposal.
They told us this would be a critical treatment hospital. When the planning application came forward, it wasn't just a trauma hospital, but actually they'd added in other disciplines. And so the impact on the village is likely to be far greater. Basically, when you submit a planning application, you consider the impact of the traffic going to that location. you don't consider the displaced traffic going to other locations. And that's really the stuff that we're worried about, because there'll be more people coming in, there'll be more traffic coming through the village, and this is a village with very narrow lanes. I'm sure most people in Basingstoke would welcome good cancer treatment, though I have to say it would seem to me that it would be better if it were located in the present location where there's a good transport link. Out here, we have no bus services, and we're 7 kilometres from the centre of Basingstoke. This isn't the ideal place for the cancer centre, though most people would welcome that. But the critical treatment hospital, on the other hand, as I say, is a 7-storey block. It's stepped, so there will be 6 stories in the higher part of that, and it will blight the landscape for many miles around. And clearly, for those people who chose to live in a rural location, that isn't a welcome thing.
As the FIFA games continue, Wales drops down 2 places to 17th in FIFA's world rankings, and England remain in 9th place. Northern Ireland is down 1 place from 29th, while Scotland suffers the biggest fall to 52nd place. As for Wednesday's quarter-final scores, Southampton lost 1-6 to Liverpool, however are still in the Premier League and will be up against Aston Villa next on Saturday, the 5th of December. Currently in the UK, there is a heated debate on how men can go to the NHS to get condoms without a fee. However, women are required to pay for tampons under the luxury tax band. This has been met with an outrageous response from the public on the discussion of equality and sexism.
Feminism is the belief that women should have equal rights to men. It can be argued that there have been real improvements in the way that women are now represented. However, many would argue that women are still represented in a negative and stereotypical way. In the 19th century and the early 20th century, in the UK and the US, the vote for improved rights for women and marriage and property was won. Then the fight was extended beyond political rights to education, work and home, then further beyond the middle class and white women. The post-feminist movement in the 1980s is often critical of the feminist ideas. The word post suggests that feminism isn't relevant anymore because women have won equal rights. Other post-feminist ideas argue that younger women don't see feminism as relevant to them now. They may still believe in equal rights for women, but either see themselves as individuals, not part of a feminist movement, or don't want to use the word feminist.
Tampons and sanitary towels, even I'm struggling with the words tonight it seems, have always been considered a luxury. That isn't by accident, that's by design of an unequal society.
Feminism is now a subject which is currently receiving a lot of news coverage in the light of the recent tampon tax debate. Feminist groups argue why is it they need to pay for tampons as a luxury tax item when men are charged for razors at the price of a necessity. We're live at the University of Winchester and I'm with Hannah Doney, Secretary of the University of Winchester's Feminist Society. So Hannah, what does it mean to be a feminist?
Essentially it's about the equality of genders, religions, sexualities, political ideas. It's about the equality of everyone and pushing for that. It's not about the assertion of women's superiority over men. A lot of people seem to think it is, but that's really not what it's about. It is just about pushing for equality.
Okay, so how do you think young people view feminism in today's society?
I think there's still a lot of hostility towards it. Angry young women who've been hurt by men, and they do use it as a way to try and get their superiority over men, but that's really not what it's about.
With the recent tampon tax, what does that mean to you? How do you feel about it?
I think the tampon tax is a really just ridiculous idea. The idea of tampons and pads being a luxury when people are bleeding constantly is really ridiculous. It's really problematic because free bleeding is viewed by society as just disgusting, and there's no other option. You have to have them. And then for people who can't afford them and homeless people, they either free bleed, which again is disgusting, as society thinks, or they have to use rags, and that can be really detrimental to health.
Yeah. So is there anything your group are doing to put in place for the tampon tax or to raise awareness? Or
Well, when the recent bill recently came in, we wrote a letter to our MP who had actually voted to keep the tampon tax, just to make him aware that we were really unhappy about it and that we felt like he hadn't got anyone else's opinions before he'd done it. We're also trying to instate something called Tampon Club, which is happening all over the world already, but we want to put it in the university, where pads and tampons are freely available in bathrooms for emergencies or for people who can't afford it.
Yeah, okay, so with the UK, how far along do you think it is in terms of feminism? Has it got a long way to go?
I think the thing to remember is that we've come a really long way, especially since like the whole movement of getting the vote and stuff, and through the 1980s we have come a really long way, but there's still a long way to come.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Rachel Russell for News Central, back to you in the studio.
The Winchester Christmas Market is back this year and is known as the best in Europe. It is held at the historic Winchester Cathedral, which is widely popular with local and non-local residents, attracting over 350,000 people from all over the country. The exhibitors have been handpicked for their interesting, high quality and unique products, many of which cannot be bought on the high street stall. The market includes handcrafted decorations, ornaments and many more. The outdoor open-air ice rink invites everyone to enjoy the festive event. Let's take a look at this year's market.
We spoke to Simon, the Communications Officer of the Winchester Christmas Market, to find out more about the popular event that brings the community together.
We are here in Winchester Cathedral Close, first day of the Christmas Market and Ice Rink this year. It's our 10th, and we're very excited. And we've got people behind us, and everybody is happy. It's part of our mission and ministry, in as much as we have to raise funds in order to be able to run the cathedrals. I mean, it brings something like 350,000 people, we think, over the sort of 5 or 6 weeks running up to Christmas, which is a lot of people who aren't necessarily only coming to the Christmas market, but actually shopping in town, eating in town, maybe staying in town. So it benefits quite a lot of the community as well, because it brings lots of people into the city and around the cathedral, many of whom visit the cathedral itself. So from our point of view, that's absolutely perfect. We have benefits in as much as it gives us an opportunity to work in partnership with lots of groups around the city, from the City Council, the Winchester Business Improvement District and various other people. So it's a real opportunity for the city to get together over something which is really just nice fun. As I say, this is our 10th. We started quite small with just 40 stalls. We now have over 100, so you can see how the popularity has increased. Stalls which are run by the cathedral itself, gift stalls. There are so many souvenirs, gifts, things for the home, all sorts of things. The team is made up of all sorts of people. We start working on the next Christmas market almost immediately the last one is finished. So it really does take that long to organise. We have people who are planning it and put all the bits and pieces together, and then about 5 weeks before it starts, we have people who actually come and build it, and you can imagine what kind of an endeavour that is.
Jessica Lewis, News Central.
The Winchester Christmas Market really is quite spectacular, so if you do get a chance to go see it whilst it's here, do. Now, wearing your coats and scarves may not be enough to keep you warm. As we go further into the winter season, the cold air thickens with fog and the grass starts to cover over with frost. We go over to Maureen Cummings now to talk about the weather.
Good afternoon, Hampshire. I'm Maureen Cummings for News Central, and here is the weather in your area for the next week. We are definitely entering into winter, as I'm sure most of you will know by now, with temperatures dropping as low as 4 degrees in the Winchester area this week. We actually won't see anything higher than 11 degrees over the next 7 days, and there will be winds of up to 19 and 20 miles per hour on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Humidity is also rather high, with percentages of up to 80% for most of the forecasts, so very muggy as we begin to enter December. The weather will remain fairly miserable for most of the forecast, with grey skies and patches of rain making repeat appearances. But on Sunday there will be a brief presence from the sun, which will also mark the warmest day of the week at 11 degrees in the day and 9 degrees at night. Pressure will remain low throughout the forecast. As your houses start to get chillier, you may find yourself wearing a few more layers. There have been some reports of snow around the UK over the last week in the Midlands and up north, but unfortunately for our more festive viewers, we aren't expecting any snow around the Hampshire area. So we'll need to wait a little longer and keep our fingers crossed for a white Christmas. With the cold weather and the rain seemingly here to stay, we enter the first week of December. It seems to be the perfect time to dress up warm and perhaps sport a Christmas jumper or two. And remember, it's only 20 more sleeps until Christmas. I'm Maureen Cummings, and this has been News Central Weather. Back to you in the studio.
We'll be sure to wrap up warm. Thank you, Maureen. I'm Julian Lewis, and that's all we have time for today on News Central. We'll see you tomorrow at the same time.